Hello everyone. Today I'm here with yet another video and I'm in conversation with David, who is a retirement planning and investment specialist. And he will be the one who can provide you with all the information about retirement in Germany.
Hey Chandra, thank you first of all for the invite. A lot of pleasant conversation with you. So yeah, my name is David, right? I'm a retirement planning and investment specialist at Inverters, and we are focused and specialized on consulting experts regarding their retirement planning and their investing. Yeah, so thank you for having me on. And first of all, let me say I simply love your positive energy on your channel. I mean, we do a lot of content for experts also, and many Germans are very negative, I would say, a lot of the time. And you bring a lot of just positive energy and forward thinking. And that's what I love also about experts, by the way. All of my clients are hardworking, like myself, and have this drive forwards towards the future and not this negativity like many Germans, in my opinion. So let me first of all say that you're doing a very, very good job, I think, in helping experts here in Germany. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your kind words. That really means a lot to me. So for me, what is really important is that I'm very passionate about giving the first-hand experience to the people who are maybe now starting the journey or already in Germany and trying to figure things out. And so, yeah, as the passion of both of us is what really drives us to do what we are doing, I think it speaks for many people that, okay, now I'm going through this journey. Let me check out this video and get some information. So I think that's what drives them. So, but yeah, thank you so much once again for your kind words. And yeah, for people who'd be watching this video, just as a short information for them is that we would be today talking about everything about the pension system in Germany. Yeah. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's super, super nice. So yeah, I mean, this way, I think people who are already living in Germany or expats who are living in Germany and don't know exactly how the pension system works, because one among them before I spoke with you was not so much educated about about the pension system in Germany. So I think how we got to know, just as a background for the people, is that what I love about working and living in Germany is the social security that is in place in Germany, right? So that is something which is very different from the country where I come from, which is India. And this gives a lot of safety net for people living and working in Germany, right? So that's the major thing. And I think in one of the videos, I was talking about, the social security system and how the pension system is in place, because there is a system in place, so it's not like there is nothing in place. But yes, I know that when I speak with Germans, they're like, no, they complain a lot. I see their point, because that's how they grew up and that's what the system that they are in. And I know that there are flaws in it, but also think in this conversation, we can unthread everything that is behind this German pension system so that you can share your knowledge to the viewers so that they can be a bit better about this particular topic and can take right decisions for their future. That's the whole idea about this video.
Exactly.
And I'm very much excited to get it started and share as much information as possible to the viewers. That being said, I will just stop talking and then maybe ask the very first question, which might be very interesting for the viewers. So how is the pension system in Germany? What is the pension system in Germany?
Thank you for the introduction, Chandra. And basically, you are totally right. It's all a point of perspective, because 2/3 of my clients are also from India, right, originally, that are now in Germany. And there, as you said, you don't really have this kind of social system like in Germany. So first being said, when you come, for example, from a country from India, then the social system is a huge improvement. Right. And I myself, I'm also very thankful to have this social system. I think it's a very good system to say, okay, yes, we are basically in a system. Good actions also lead to you having a better life, etc. And hard work pays off. Right. But at the same time, you have the safety net, as you said, right? So now nobody has to live on the street, etc. Right. So with the pensions, first being said, the social system in Germany is very good. right? And you have to say that, right? With the pension system, like when you come from India, for example, you see, oh, there is a system in place. That's like a good thing. Of course, then you see the perspective from the Germans who say, okay, it has gotten worse and worse, and there's this issue and this issue. So let me break it down how this works in Germany. So essentially, when you are employed in Germany, you have your payslip, and then you see like gross salary, and then you have like the taxes deducted, then you have like your health insurance deducted, and then you also have the government pension deducted. So you see that every month on your payslip is essentially, and the German pension system works very counterintuitive for most people. Because like the money that is deducted there is not saved like for you, for your retirement, but the money that's deducted there is directly contributed to the current pensioners. So basically like the working people support the people who are in retirement right now, which is a good principle and also works out fine when there is enough people contributing. So like in 1970, for example, that system was perfectly fine with like 5 to 6 people contributing and supporting one pension. Then you don't have as high contribution and the pensioners are very, very well. Now, as like the demographics has changed, Chandra, it's only the two of us, right? So only two people are supporting one pensioner at the moment, right? And this trend is like going on because like our generation isn't like having as much children, right? So the society in Germany gets older and older. So this is why many Germans say, oh, the system has gotten so much worse over the years, which is true, right? Because the society just get older. And basically what we two get as a pension, or what like the people like around like 30, right? Like in our generation get as a pension later, heavily depends on how many people are contributing later. Right? That's why you cannot say, okay, there's a really safe pension, right? Because it heavily depends on how many people are there actually contributing to the system. That being said, there will be a pension in Germany, even though it's not going to be high, right? So we can calculate a concrete example like in a second, right? But essentially you can imagine when you make like 60K a year, let's say 5K a month. So that when you have like 3,000 netto, right? 3,000 netto. When you make that and work in Germany for 40 years, which most experts are gonna work here a little less long when you're being realistic, right, than 40 years. That being said, when you work for 40 years, 60K annual salary, your pension will be around 1,700 euro gross, right, or 1,400 euro net when you deduct like taxes and health insurance. Right. So yes, there is a pension, right? Not a high one, but there is a pension, and we just have to see basically on how the system is going to develop and how many children are born, etc. So the key message, like from this first part, essentially is yes, there is a pension, but it's also not taking care of your retirement. Right? It's like an add-on for you later in retirement, but like for the majority of the pension, you have to take care of yourself.
Okay.
Right? And a great resource that I can provide, let me just share my screen here essentially. When you just Google pension calculator Germany, then like one of the first websites is our website you see here. There you can just calculate for yourself, essentially, how much pension are you going to get like from the government, right? So you see like my average client is like 30 years old, right? But let's put in the 5,000 gross salary and say, okay, you've been working for 3 years here in Germany already. Then you see pretty much exactly the 1,700 euro pension that I just told you essentially, right? So this is what you're going to get from the government. And then you can calculate with like different salaries, right? And you see how much would I get when I have 7,000, how much would I get when I have 4,000 gross salary, all these things. Right? So you can use this resource essentially to calculate how much pension are you going to get. And the key point is always, okay, you see here, this is the government pension, the blue one. And the key point will always be, no matter how the system develops, okay, for the majority of your pension, you have to take care of yourself. So that's, we can share this resource like under the video, or you can just Google pension calculator Germany, go to our website. So that's the first very important point. Did it get like clear, so to say, how like the public system works? How much can you expect? Like, other questions about it? If now, then we can go.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for explaining this. I think this gives clarity to the people who are, or like the expats who are living in Germany, just to,
Yeah.
if they have not yet started thinking about their pension system that is in place and what is the consequences if they don't take any action, then I think this is the right moment for them to at least start exploring and also continue watching our video where you can give them like a concrete example, and then they get to know, oh, okay, this is how it is, then let me take some actions so that my future is secured in Germany and I don't have to worry about my retirement, right? So
exactly,
retirement.
exactly,
Nice.
exactly. And speaking of like a concrete example, right? When we just continue like with the example, you make like 60K a year, right? Like 30 years old approximately, right? Or we can also say 35, right? Then you see the pension also gets a little less. Then you can essentially click on proceed with step 3, and then you will see, okay, how much money do I need to put aside to fill that pension gap? So how much money do I need to save now in order to have my salary, essentially my living standard, also in retirement? And you see here with different interest rates, we will play around with that in a second. But you see, okay, when we have like a modest, a good interest rates, it would be when you have like a 60K annual salary, around 600 to 700 euros a month that you need to put aside to fill that pension gap, essentially. Right? And you also see why it's so important to like start today. Like in 1 or 3 years, it's already like 150 euros more that you need to put aside. Right? So over the time, the longer you wait, the bigger the problem gets, essentially. So that's a very helpful resource, in my opinion, to calculate, okay, what will make sense, essentially, for me to monthly put aside in order to fill that pension gap.
Okay. So maybe like one follow-up question when I'm seeing this, you are saying this, like, let's say in Germany, working as an expat and I'm earning 60,000 euros. So my actual age is 31 years old. I'm 31 years old now. So then this means that this money, like if you change it to maybe 31 years, let's take my age as an example. And then if you go to proceed to with step 3, then I see the amounts that I have to keep aside today, starting 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, right? So this amount that I have to keep aside, if I don't take any action, that's what you mean? Or is it like, okay, after buying your product or like the private pension insurance on top of what I already have, then I don't have to worry about these numbers? How does this work, David?
Yes. So this essentially says, okay, how much monthly you need to invest, right, in order to fill that pension gap, right? So when you start today, the number will always stay at the 528, right?
Yeah.
So what this shows, okay, when you like ignore it for like 3 years, then it's 150 more that you just have to put aside every month. So long term, it's costing you way more. Just wait, right?
Yeah.
And another very important aspect here is, of course, your age. We saw, okay, when you change it to 31, then it's getting essentially lower. And the other very important thing is the interest rate that you see here. So see here already with intelligent fund investment, you make 6 to 8%. Right? So 6% is more like the lower cases, the lower averages, and 8% is more like towards the averages. So you see, when you put it, for example, to 7%, then this number also changes. Right? So 7% is what we always calculate with. So for you, it would be around 400 euros a month, right? For example, just to put aside. And then you know, I have filled this pension gap. I will be well off when I retire. And it's not that hard, honestly, like 400 euros, okay, that should be like manageable for your retirement. And you know, okay, I don't ever have to worry about my retirement. Right?
Okay.
The second aspect that this shows us, it's why it's so important to have a good plan and a good investment. Because we calculate it now with a good investment. right?
Yeah.
Still very safe, very broadly diversified. That's always very important when we talk about pension, but a very safe, very good investment, right? So just want to show you what happens when you don't take any action. Maybe you are a saver, right? Maybe you just save the money on your bank account, right?
Yeah.
But let me show you what happens then when you save the money on your bank account. There you get around 3% interest at the moment, right? Then you see your number that you need to put aside to fill your pension gap, like triples or quadruples even, right? So when you just save in your bank account, right, or in like low interest products, we're gonna get to that in a second, right? Then you need to put aside an insane amount every month just to remain your living standard. And like honestly, when you make like 5K a month gross, then you don't want to put like 1,500 euros, even if you can, right? I have clients saving 1,500 euros or more, right? But then in a good solution, right? So you see the interest rate at which you're basically saving for your retirement is very, very, very important, right? So the product that you basically choose is very, very important for your retirement planning. Right?
Yeah.
That's what gets very clear in like a graph like this.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so too. So this means that it's really important for anyone to take action in order to make sure that their pension, that is the gap between the pension that they get from the public and the actual money that they might be needing in order to make sure that they have the same lifestyle even after they become pensioners, is this investment that they should be looking into. Like you said, I mean, also when it comes to investing, if you just leave it in bank, I think DKB Bank, which has this what is called like the savings bank account, or some, I think it's called Tagesgeldkonto, right? So it provides about 3.5%, I guess. Then when that's the case, it will be that you have to keep aside every month 1,500 or like about 1,300 euros, which is completely off. So having an investment strategy such a way that gives you the interest of about 7 or 8% is really valuable, and that's what someone needs to be doing, right? That's
exactly. That is very well summarized. And the reason we also show this to our clients, not just to say don't leave your money in bank accounts, right? I think it's pretty intuitive, but also don't put your money in like savings products that are very low yield, so very low interest, right? Because we essentially have a couple private pension plans that we can do in Germany, right? In order to like save towards our retirement, right? And like 2 of them fall into the category where we can have that high yield that we need, right? And 2 of them basically don't make sense for 99% of people because the interest is just very low, right? So you can imagine, I'm just gonna name them, so just that the audience have certain. And if you have that, if you're an audience and have one of the products, then we should definitely talk, because there are way better alternatives in 99% of cases. Right. So like the most famous pension plan in Germany is called the Riester pension, right? Riester-Rente in Germany. And basically for 99% of people that doesn't make sense, because there you're essentially forced to have like a high guarantee from the insurance company, which leads to like your money not being invested like in good funds that are broadly diversified and grow over the time, but basically with the insurance company directly, which is like similar to a good bank account, right? It's like 2.5–3% with the best insurances. Even like Allianz, only they have 2.5%, right? So essentially, also when there is some government benefits in the Riester pension, right, it's never worthwhile essentially unless you have a low income and many kids, right? Then Riester makes sense, okay, because you get some bonuses for your kids, right, from the government. But when you're like, most of my clients are like married and have maybe 1 or 2 kids, and you have a good income, right, then Riester doesn't make any sense, because you're essentially saving in a product where your interest is very low. So you need to save a huge amount of money, right, to achieve your retirement goals. And there are basically products where you get the same government benefits, but a way better interest, right? So that's why it's very important. And I mean, Riester is very popular because it's easy to sell. right?
Okay.
So if I wanted, I could sell Riester all day long. And like 4 years ago, I was doing a half-an-hour presentation why Riester doesn't make sense. Nowadays, like all the press has also gotten that and writes very bad about it, and the product is basically dead. Just that you have some insight on that, right? So Riester pension falls into that category. Right?
Yeah. What I want, yeah, thank you. So what I was thinking about is that thanks for sharing about this insurance with, like it's a famous one, but for many people it does not make sense, right? And that's very important to know, I guess.
Yeah.
As a follow-up question, like what I had in my mind is that, so basically, let's say we are somewhat aiming between 7 and 8% of the interest rate, like the products where someone like me can invest, which will be between 350 to 400 euros every month. And to invest on these kind of products that is what you will consult when someone is interested to invest in this kind of product, right? Like just to make sure that, because at this point in time, the viewers would be thinking, okay, David shared with me that, okay, 7 to 8% interest rate of the products which you can suggest to the clients makes sense, but they're thinking, okay, which are those products, right? So I think
we will get to that in a second.
That's good. That's good to know. Just let me, I wanted to,
Perfect. Just let me briefly mention the second pension plan that you have to be very careful about, which is the company pension. Right? Because you can essentially say there you have the same set of problems as in the Riester pension, essentially. With the company pension, it's a little bit different because oftentimes your employer gives you a lot on top, right? So when your like company pension is more like a social benefit, so to say, right? Then of course you take it, it's free money, but don't invest like extra money in it, right? Because oftentimes, first of all, the plan isn't good that the company has, and second, you also have this guarantee problem, right? There are scenarios where that makes a lot of sense, the company pension. We also consult on that. I'm allowed to call myself an expert on that, right? We consult a lot of big companies regarding that. But what I'm saying, be very careful with the company pension, because oftentimes that sounds very good, but actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you're at the 3.54% interest, right? With very good plans. Right? That being said, right, just that you have it in your head, okay, what plan should you be cautious about? Let's get to the solutions that actually make a lot of sense for expats here in Germany. Right?
Exactly.
Because as an expat, essentially, most of my clients plan to stay in Germany long term, right? But many say, okay, maybe I want to retire in my home country, or maybe after 10, 15 years, maybe we go to another country again, right? And there you have to, in my opinion, be flexible also with the pension, because, for example, in Riester, you lose all your government benefits when you move to another country permanently. Right. So in my opinion, you have to have as an expat solutions where you can get like the pension anywhere in the world and are also flexible with that. So there are essentially like two main pension plans that make a lot of sense there. I'm going to explain both of them. They both have some advantages and disadvantages. And what's always very important to us to show like transparently all the advantages, but also all the disadvantages, so that our clients have like the best information and then just a ground to a decision, essentially. Right? That's very important to us in our consulting. Right?
Yeah, so that really makes sense, I guess, right? So at the end of the day, when you make consulting, it's really important for the audience or also the customers to really understand, okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages, So because every product, no matter what you say, like there will be some disadvantages, but important point is that if that disadvantages really affect your motivations, right? Or like your goals. If it's not affecting, then even though if it's a disadvantage, then it's fine, right? So I think that's
exactly. That's a very good take, and we just want to say, okay, our clients when make an informed decision, and I have here like long term, right? That's why we, by the way, also get so many recommendations from our clients, because to see, hey, we do honest consulting, right? And we lay out all the advantages and disadvantages and let our clients decide. And they really like that, because like the transparency, and that's not oftentimes the case like in a financial market, right? So the first pension that like 90% of my clients have, that, by the way, me personally, and for me and my wife, for our personal retirement planning, we also have that. This pension plan is called the base pension plan or the Rurup pension plan. right? Very German word, right? So it's Basisrente in Germany. And there the principle is the money that you pay in, you can 100% deduct from your income tax now, right?
Okay.
That means when you make as a single above 60K or as a married couple above 120K, right? When you invest 10,000 euros there, you get 4,200 euros back from the government.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Right? Of course, there's a very, very, very big tax advantage and you have a big tax write-off essentially. So you save a lot of taxes with that, right?
Okay.
For that, the money is locked until retirement, right? So you cannot access the money earlier.
Okay.
Right? And then in retirement, you get a stable lifelong monthly pension that cannot decrease or run out. The pension you have is monthly, no matter how long you live, like the structure of this product. So for who makes that sense? Right? If you have a high income and therefore pay very high taxes in Germany, and if you want to save taxes here, right? When you say, okay, now I have a very high tax burden, but I want to invest and want to save taxes with that, right? And you want a stable income in retirement. That's also very important. Most people say also, including like us and most of my clients say, okay, I want some sort of stable basis in retirement. That I just know, okay, no matter how long I live, no matter what the market does, no matter what the stock market does, etc., I will get like my monthly pension and I will never have to worry about money again. Right? I want to have that stable monthly basis essentially, right? Then the base pension is perfect. There, by the way, the pension you can get anywhere in the world, right?
Okay, so even though if I leave and go back to India, then I will get get this pension. Okay,
exactly,
interesting.
exactly. And also when you say, okay, maybe I stay only for 10 years, then you contribute for 10 years, get your tax refund from 10 years, and then you can just pause the plan. So you can just then say, okay, I stop contributing because you no longer live and tax in Germany, right? But the money that you paid in is still in there and keeps compounding in the funds, right, until you retire. And then you get a nice extra pension essentially from your time in Germany from the base pension.
Okay, so just that if I understood correctly, like say I start investing or like buying for this base pension, and let's take as an example of, so for 10 years I pay for it and then I go back to India, then I have to pause because I won't be earning in Germany and then I cannot pay anymore. So this, of course, for this 10 years, I already got back my taxes because I was doing this tax returns. Then the amount been invested, like it grows for until I become 67 years, which is the official pension or like the retirement age here in Germany. And then after that, whatever the amount that I have invested, I start to receive, right? Did I get it right? Okay.
With interest. So the great thing is like the first 10 to 15 years are the most important years because this money has the most time to grow in the funds, in the world economy. Right?
Is it that I get one-off repayment or it's monthly that I get when I retire?
Monthly. So in the base pension is monthly. There's a second model where there's also one-off. Then you don't save as much taxes, right? But in the base pension, it's monthly, a stable pension. But it's very important for me to mention that you don't like have to stay forever in Germany to make that pension make sense, right? So you should, I mean, the important thing as an expert is to not fall in the trap of thinking, okay, I don't really know how long I'm gonna be here, right? Let me just do nothing and maybe do something in the next country that I'm in. Then 1 year go by, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you haven't done anything. We see here that's very important to do anything. So when you don't know how long you're gonna stay here, when you know it's gonna be somewhere mid to long term, right? If you know I'm gonna leave in half a year, of course not, right? But when you don't know really, then just start with a plan, right? And just use the opportunities you have in every country. But when you're 5 years in Germany, do the 5 years or 10 years of base pension, for example, save taxes, add to your retirement. When you then move to the USA, then start a 401k plan and start a Roth IRA. There are different, different plans that save you taxes and take care of your retirement. So just in every country that you're in, just do what's in front of you there, basically, and you will be well off in retirement. It's not like a very difficult task. You just have to be consistent and disciplined, essentially, to actually do something.
So at this point in time, one question that come across my mind is that what is the minimum period that I should be living in Germany in order for this base pension to make sense? So is that like, because we had the example of 5 years, 10 years, is there a minimum time that we have to stay in order to make use of this benefit?
Yeah. So basically also it's worthwhile after 1 year already, right? Because when you contribute 10K, you get like 4,000 in taxes back. Right. Of course, there's not a huge amount of money in there, right? But you use the tax advantage for this 1 year, right? So essentially, it makes sense from the beginning. But when I say, okay, seriously thinking about doing a pension plan, retirement planning, you should have the perspective to at least stay like 2 years, right?
At least
you know, I'm going to stay for 2 years. I'm going to earn very well in these 2 years. Then it makes sense, right? Of course, the longer, the better. So, by the way, when you think that you're going to stay 2 years, I hear this story 5 times a day, probably in the consultations. I originally thought I only stay here 2 years, but then I like it, and now I'm here for 5 years.
Sure.
Right? This story all the time. It's the typical expert story. So yeah.
At least I know that if I'm living for 2 years, then it's making a lot of sense, because you also don't know that if you'll be staying longer, you know, so it's better to go ahead with this plan. Okay.
Exactly. And of course, the most effective one is 5, 10, 15 years, right? Maybe also for the entire time, right? But what I'm saying is start with a plan, right? And then when you move out in 2 years, totally fine. Just pause the contribution, move back to the next country. But most likely than not, you're going to stay longer than 2 years, just from my experience. Also, when you don't think that today. Right?
Sure.
If you want, like, calculate like concrete example for the base pension,
that would be great.
Like,
I think
you just get a feeling, right? So what we did is like take the average age of like our average client. That's birth date 1995, right? So about 30 years old or rather young, right? And a salary above 60,000. Right, so it's important in order to collect like the maximum tax benefit that you make 60,000 plus, right? Doesn't really matter if it's 65 or 80 or 85 or 120, right? It's all a very high tax up there, basically. Well, we're just gonna show you like an example with just some numbers that you get like a feeling for it. So we just take the 500 euros, right, that we discussed like as a monthly contribution. Right? And we get that into a base pension plan, essentially. And here you see the tax calculation. So essentially over the whole time until you're 67, but by the way, 62 is the earliest you can get your pension. So you are flexible in when you're getting your pension. You can get 62, 63, 65, 67, 70, right? So you're flexible on that, but 62 is the earliest.
Interesting. Okay.
So you see, if you pay until you're 67, you paid in 228,000 euros, right? And in that period, you will have gotten back in taxes 103,000 euros.
Okay.
Right? So you get like around 42% back in taxes, right? On every contribution that you make. That is like the beautiful part of it. And you also see that here, by the way, 500 go out of your account. You do that for 1 year, and then the end of the year, you do your tax declaration, right? And then it's 6,000 that you paid in times 42%. So you get back 2,500 euros at the end of the year, right? For this contribution, the base pension. So you're effectively only paying 270, 280 euros a month, right? Even though 500 go work in the investment and go compound for you. That's like where you have this big leverage in the base pension plan, essentially. Right? And just calculating with this example, if you do this for like until you're 67, right, then you will have around 4,500 euros in pension monthly. Right?
Okay, so when I'm 67, I receive this amount every month.
Exactly, until you die. So it doesn't matter how long you live, you receive that every month. Right?
One more question. So apart from this, I also get my public pension, right?
Exactly.
That's separate thing. Okay.
That's separate, and that
Just
comes
that.
on top then,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so you see, like with the 500 euro contribution, you're pretty well taken care of in retirement and have your living standard also in retirement, right? Of course, increase your contribution always with the inflation, because like the inflation is also a factor, of course. But when you do that, you also don't have a problem with inflation here, because then you just adjusted your contribution over time, right? So this is an example of what like 90% of our clients have like as part of their retirement planning. Right? And maybe interesting for you viewers when they say, okay, I really don't know, maybe it's just going to be 10 years, David, right? Then let me go back to the example here. When you say I only contribute for 10 years, right? What is the case then? Right? Because that's what a lot of clients ask me. Actually, the question that you asked, hey, how long do I have to stay here in order to that making sense, right?
Yeah.
And you see, when you only contribute like for 10 years, right? You see, of course, then you contributed 60,000 in this 10 years. You got back 27,000 in taxes. Perfect. That's in your pocket. You can do whatever you want with, right? And you still get, when you pause after 10 years, just let the money compound in there. You still get 2,500 euros pension at 67.
At 67? Okay. I get that amount every month. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So you see, the first 10 years are actually the most important years. Right? Because you get like the majority of your pension comes from your savings in the first 10 years, actually. Right? So yeah, just for your viewers, okay, also when it's 10 years, it makes a lot of sense.
It is still making a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is maybe a roundup from like the base pension, right? Just that you have seen like a concrete example, right, of like what is possible in terms of retirement planning, right? Yeah, that's like the one pension plan that 90% of our clients have. Then there's also another where you are also flexible with paying out the money, right? That's what we also do a lot, where you then can have flexible savings in your retirement, essentially. And the model that we oftentimes do, right, is that we say, hey, 500 euros you contribute towards the base pension, and then the tax that you save, so the 220 euros, that you contribute towards a flexible investment, right? Where you have like flexible savings in retirement, right? Whether that's through like a broker account or like a flexible pension, we can talk about that. But essentially, that's a model that we recommend to a lot of our clients to say, okay, do a good tax deductible investment that provides you with like a stable income in retirement, right? Take the tax refund and then reinvest it in like a flexible investment where you can have like flexible savings to draw from whenever and whatever you like, essentially. Right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I guess. So yeah, I mean, thanks a lot for sharing that. I think this can be a really valuable information. So with regards to the one question that comes to my mind, it's my personal question as well, and it could be that other viewers are also asking themselves. So with any investment products, right, or like the insurance products, there will be commission that the consultants or anyone would be paying. If I'm not mistaken, I think in countries like India or like the country where I come from, it's usually this amount is taken care by the investor, so it's a cost for the investor. But what I know is that it's different in Germany. Can you please explain the basic question that I'm trying to ask here is that, okay, you have these products and you usually sell to the customers like us. And how is how do you make the money? Because I know that here in Germany, it's not the customers paying, it's the company paying you. I think this is quite important for people to know, because always people feel like, wow, okay, I'm investing in this product. I'm also have the cost that I need to pay, but this is not true. That's why I think it's quite nice to clarify this to the viewers.
Exactly. So you can imagine in Germany, our company, we are independent financial brokers. That means we can offer every pension plan that there is on the German free market, right? So all the providers we can offer. And we can offer all the providers with the exact same conditions that you get with the provider directly, right? So for example, when you do a pension plan with Allianz through us, you get the exact same conditions, the exact same cost, right? The exact same outcome as you call Allianz directly and say, hey, I want to start a pension plan with you, right? How this works is essentially in every pension product, the cost for the consulting is already calculated in, right? So basically, just the consultant who consults on these products gets the commission for the consulting, right? So that means in Germany, for you as a client, you don't have any extra cost for our consulting, even though it's like a huge advantage for you that we scan all the providers, right? And not just one or two, right? With many companies, right? But you get the exact same condition and there's no extra cost for you. That's a beautiful thing. And by the way, the numbers that I showed you, all costs are already deducted, right? So these are the actual numbers that you get paid out. Yeah. So that's a very good question. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah,
because this is something that people might be asking, like, okay, we are talking about it. Okay, how much I should be paying for this product, and that's a valid question to ask because that's the question that I asked myself as well. So it's really nice system in place where it's not the cost that the buyer has to bear, so he gets all the benefits that is actually shown in the calculations and they don't have to worry about it. So that's quite nice, I guess.
Exactly. So, and what we're gonna do, right, is when you say, okay, I want to take care of my pension, like regarding my private pension, I want to be well off in retirement, and I just want to see how the numbers are for me personally, because like a very personal thing, of course. Right. Then we're gonna put like our website and like my Calendly link like in the description, right?
Perfect.
From you and Chandra, and then you can just book yourself a meeting with us. Essentially, it's completely free of charge and completely non-binding, right? We just calculate everything for you within your individual case with your numbers, and also like answer the questions that you might have, right? Because they're a very complex topic, very individual topic. Answer all the questions you might have, and then just calculate it for you individually regarding your needs and your individual situation. And then we see whether that makes sense or not. Right?
Nice.
So that's the offer we're providing, and you find the link like in the description.
Yeah, perfect. So guys, as if you are watching until now, then what I definitely suggest is that go ahead and book your meeting because as you saw, like David is someone who is very much known or like knowledgeable in this field, and I think someone can take a lot of advantage by also getting both the advantages and disadvantages, right? So this is quite important to me, to be honest, because most of the time the consultants always show only the advantages and I feel like I'm getting misled, but it's not the case with you. And I think that's a very important thing, I guess. So people who are interested should definitely check out and see if that something is interesting for them because retirement planning is nice to have, I guess, or like even important to have, I guess. Nice.
So thank you, Chandra, for having me. Very important, guys. Leave a like, leave a comment. Chandra is doing such a great work with his YouTube, providing so much value. Appreciate that. Leave a like, leave a comment, share this video with a friend who that also might be interesting for. And then you see Chandra and me in the next video.
Thank you so much, guys. And I wish you all a great day. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.